Hello and welcome to another great edition of Money Truth Moments with our very own financial expert, our very own expert, Judy Copenbarger. How are you, Judy?
I am awesome. How are you, Carlos? Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. I'm doing fantastic. I've been looking forward to the show. We've got a great topic to talk about today, folks. And if you're just joining us for the first time, welcome. Make sure that you're following Judy at judycopenbarger.today. Just make sure all the relevant and current information and things all about finances and everything that Judy shares during the show and wisdom and all the free goody stuff that we're going to talk about a little bit later in the show. But before we get started, I want to make sure that if you're just joining us again, make sure that you also sign up and then look at some of the previous shows as well too. We've covered a lot of ground in the last couple of months, so we want to make sure you guys are up to date on some of the great topics that we covered. And speaking of great topics, what do you say we get started? Right? I've got a huge question that's just burning a hole in my pocket here. Right? So,
all right, what's on your mind?
All right. So how does financial planning help us like manage risks and maximize investment returns over time? Because investments, it's a big category that for the most part, a lot of people are just like, nope, I don't want to talk about it because I don't understand it. I don't know what to do. My mattress is safe under my money's safe under my mattress. You know what I mean? So talk to us about that.
Yeah, I just had a couple yesterday referred over, with questions about that. And they know they need insurance and they need to contribute to the 401k, all the things you do. He's a teacher and she's in business, and they're doing a lot of the right things. But the big burning question for them is, how do I invest correctly? How do I know I'm getting the right ROI, the return on investment, but I'm not taking on too much risk? And, it's kind of a balance. And one thing I told them is there's an art to it, but there's also a science to it. I mean, there's definitely technology that can help us and software that can help us manage risk, but there's an art to it as well. And the art has to do with balancing. Do you have the right amount of equity? And equity is something that you own, you actually tangibly own it. So like you have equity in your house, everybody knows that's the part the bank doesn't get, right? You have equity in stock. That's something that you own. It's a little tiny sliver of the value of a company when you own stock. And then the other part is interest. There's also alternatives, but the other big part of investing is interest related. So people know CDs, at the bank, a certificate of deposit. You give them $100 and they give you $105 back in a year, 5% return. So, but there's also bonds and treasuries and notes and commercial paper. There's all kinds of interest instruments. Money markets can pay an interest. So the idea is to have some interest related instruments that are investments and some equity related investments, and have the right balance. And picking that pie, getting the right balance and the right ratio is set by several factors. The horizon, when will you need the money and how actively do you need it to be growing? Are you conservative or invested? What is your risk tolerance? If you're a couple, do you each need to have your own bucket? Because one of you likes a little more risk, the other one really doesn't. So there's all these things at play when it comes to balancing. But I would say balancing is only one of several factors that go into a really good investment portfolio. But balance is important.
So talking about balance, there's also a great word that you always bring up, and that's laddering. Talk about a little bit and remind folks what that is too, because I think that applies really well with this.
Yeah, laddering is one of those principles. Anytime you put your question through the filter, and the question is, where should I put my dollar? How should I invest? Or should I invest? Maybe it should just be in savings for now. It depends on what it's for. And laddering, and you can look through all the curriculum that we have. If you find that, it'll help you answer the question at your house. What should I do with my dollar? Should I save it? Should I invest it? What kind of investment should I choose? It will help you answer that question right every time. When you don't go through a filter like that and you just start, investing whatever offer comes through the internet, or you get an email, it's a ground floor opportunity, all that stuff, or it's what my friend's doing, that's where people get in trouble. Because there's probably one or two items on that filter that would have helped you go, no, maybe that's not the best investment for this purpose. So laddering is one of those principles. Diversification, that's so simple. It's like, don't put all your eggs in one That's it,
There you
right?
go, right?
Everybody knows, spread the risk. That's one of the best ways, right off the top, to mitigate risk or even eliminate it sometimes. Dollar cost averaging is another one of these principles. When you're investing, instead of putting a whole chunk in at one time, what if you invested a little bit over time? And if you buy the same thing in the same amounts of money, when stock, for example, costs more, you're going to buy less shares at a higher price. When it costs less, you're going to buy more shares at a lower price. So your average price buying in is lower. See how that works? And so
Yeah.
you're going to get the benefit of dollar cost averaging, exercising that principle.
So let me ask you this too, because I know this has come up before when we're talking about if it's too good to be true, right? Especially with investment, you got to act now. Help folks understand or guide some of our viewers of what it is that why we should avoid emotional investing, right?
Oh,
Or those emotional investing mistakes. You kind of touched on that before, so I think it's a great segment into talking about that.
yeah. And, if we left our emotions off the table with a lot of conversations, life might work out a little better. For example, you're upset with your spouse. Maybe cool off before you have the conversation, right? Get
Mhm.
your bullet points written down on paper before you just go into it emotionally. Whether it's anger, whether it's too much joy. I'm so elated. I'm so happy. You're kind of on that high, that manic phase. And then you start investing and it's like, I can't lose. You might as well go to Vegas, right? So I think financially, people do get in trouble emotionally. They don't want to miss the boat. A lot of times, emotionally, they're coming into financial decisions with a history. And maybe it's a history that is not positive. Your parents maybe failed with money. Maybe there's shame from decisions you've made financially. And there's shame in that. There's blame. Well, you don't make enough. Well, you spend too much. Well, you don't make enough. Well, you spend too much. All of that. So sometimes emotions can really play into financial decisions. Well, I better buy that. I'm really nervous. I'm scared. So I'm going to, overprotect. Or, I really want to make up for lost time. I want to be over aggressive. So there's all kinds of ways to really blow it by making emotional decisions. I think the most common one people make, and I just had someone the other day that had done this, and it's like, okay, you've made this mistake before. Let's stop the spinning. Let's not get back here again. And the mistake was about timing. I got to hurry. I've got to rush. I don't want to miss the opportunity. I'm running out of time. I want to be on the ground floor, that kind of thing. And this person made a big mistake, just wanting to rush. And with financial choices, financial decisions that you're making, there's never, ever, ever a reason to rush. If it's a good deal now, it'll be a great deal later. So emotionally, that's probably the most common thing people do is, oh, I better hurry. Never be in a hurry when it comes to financial decisions, ever.
So when we're talking about this, also talk to us a little bit about keeping that focus, right? You talked about the long-term goals. How do we? And we're all human, right? We're just talking about emotion and all that, but it seems that when we're finally take that leap of faith, or we're going to start investing, and all of a sudden we see a downturn, you panic, like the sky's falling and all of that. And I'm sure you've seen this over your career. Talk to us a little bit about how to get past that.
Well, you just have to be disciplined, I think. And any athlete will tell you this. In training, there's plateaus. If you're training for a marathon or a race and you're working on your speed, your timing, you're going to plateau and then you go up again and then you plateau and then you go up. And in this case, you're actually going down. Your time is going down. But your improvement is not always a steady line of increase. There's kind of a little system to it. It's kind of like watching, if you look at the market, up, down, up, down. But if you look over time, if you kind of pull out to the 20, 30, 50,000 foot view, you see, oh, wow, really the market right now looks like Mount Everest. If you go back 10, 15, 20 years, it's just like, wow,
Mhm.
I can't believe it. But you'll still hear people say the sky is falling. And there's always people that are negative about that for whatever their motivations are.
Right.
But I hope I answered your question. You're going to plateau. And so if you feel like you're not making the progress you want, you're not saving as much as you want, the return is not where you think it should be right now, and you're kind of losing sight of the big picture, the big outcome, the long game, it just is discipline. It's like, hang in there, keep training, keep running, keep lifting your weights. People on diets, they plateau Then they lose more and they plateau, even if they never change what goes in their mouth or their exercise, right? There are these plateaus. It's just what happens. And you just stick with it. You don't lose sight of, of the goal, and just keep going.
Awesome. And folks, if you're just joining us, welcome to the show. Welcome. Make sure you follow Judy at judycopenbarger.today. We've got a lot of great content on her website, so make sure that you guys check it out as well and follow her on her social media as well too. So we started talking about financial planning, managing risk, and maximize investments returns over time. So now let's move to the course of your career, right? You've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly in the finance world, clients that you've worked with and all that. So from your experience, what mistakes do people often make with their finances?
And I'm not sure if I'm still on air, Carlos. So I think there's a question that you had. Are you back?
Yeah, here we go. So let me ask you, over your career, what mistakes have you seen people often make with their finances that proper planning could help avoid?
Well, I already kind of touched on being in a hurry, but I think when people are reactive rather than proactive, it just sets them up for a mistake, for some regret. And that's, somebody comes at you with a sales idea or with an insurance policy that maybe is more than you need or not what you need. They come at you with a ground floor opportunity. That's the big one. Because, you can't read your emails without having stuff pop up on your phone or on your computer all day long. This is the deal. Buy gold, buy whatever. And it doesn't mean it's a bad thing to do, but you want to do it in a proactive way. There are some investments, quote, investments that I would say don't touch it. But usually, there might be a little bit of truth in what the marketing is saying, but is it right for you? And is it right for you right now? And if you're reacting and going, oh, I don't want to miss that, check yourself and really look, at the end game. Where do I want to be? Is this really something that should fit in my portfolio? And if so, should it fit there right now?
So as we're talking about that too, you've mentioned before emergency funds, right? We've talked about a little bit of that, not investing on your retirement enough, not having the adequate insurance. So talk to us a little bit or remind us, why is this important? And also, more importantly, having an estate plan, right? A will, something as simple and basic as that a lot of us take for granted. Like, yeah, we'll get around to it when we get around to it. But you don't know what life brings, right? You don't know what's around the corner in the next hour or so. So talk about some of the importance of all that.
Yeah, these are all elements of an important financial plan. So I think the big picture for planning, you need to be offensive and defensive at the same time. So no great game was ever won with zero defense or zero offense, right? You have to have both. You don't want them scoring on you, but you got to be aggressive and get out there too. And it doesn't matter what kind of a game or what kind of a tournament or what kind of a contest it is. You need to have both. You need to be trained for both. So financial planning is the same. There are some things like you mentioned, estate planning, your will, your trust, business entities, all those things that we do legally to protect our assets as they're growing. And that level of protection will grow as your assets increase. So you want to make sure you're doing the defensive part. Insurances, and there's a million kinds of insurance. Getting the right kind, the right amount for the right reasons is really important. And it's easy to be oversold insurance because insurance sales guys, they make a commission. They're happy to sell you more, maybe more than you need. So you want to just really check that. So those are defensive or protective things that you do. Those are activities that should be part of every financial plan. And usually when people are thinking about a financial plan, it's like, how much should I invest for these reasons? Retirement. I want to, have a second home. I want to educate my kids. How much do I need to put away for that? So those are part of the planning that are more of the offensive side, the growth side. So it's going to be your investments, your real estate, your 401k, your IRAs, and all of those trust accounts, that you're growing, the Ameritrade account that you have with your favorite stocks, things like that, deferred compensation. If you're fortunate enough to have great benefits at work, there are those things where you get to buy company stock at a discount. Those are great. Usually they're great. So there's all these things that we do, getting your cash flow and your cash reserves in order. That's really important for people that have an unusual income. It's not the 15th and the 1st we get a paycheck. People on commission, people that get bonuses. You always think of realtors, they'll get a big commission and then maybe nothing. And then a big commission and then maybe nothing. So how do you even that out? That's an art and a science. And that's part of important planning, keeping that cash flow. How much should I have saved? How much should actually be out there working when I'm talking about my money, my dollars? So those are all elements. I loved your question. What should I be doing? Those are all elements of an important financial plan. But if you think about what do I need to grow, what do I need to protect, that's really going to point you in the right direction.
And I think also you've said this over and over again. It doesn't matter where you are in life, the time is now. So it's either you continue down the path that you're not really doing anything, or you take notes and take the bull by the horns, right? And I think that's very important when you've talked about planning in all aspects of our lives, right? Whether it's for kids or middle age, you just got married, you're still single, you're ready to retire, things like that too. And I think that's crucial.
Yeah, the timing of it. They say, when's the best time to plant a tree? Like a beautiful apple fruit tree, right? 20 years ago would have been great because then we'd have all that fruit right now, full harvest. The second best time is right now because then we're planning for the future. So, and I'm big on fruit trees and things. We do a lot of that farming and gardening, and that's really true with financial planning too. You start today, do something today that wasn't there yesterday. You can always take these baby steps if you're just not sure where to start. So that would be something. Don't hesitate. And you always want to just plan with the end in mind, whether it's a 2-year horizon, a 20-year horizon, a 50-year horizon. You want to think about where you want to be ideally, and then just work backwards from that. That'll give you your ideal plan.
And speaking of planning, folks, we have a little surprise with a little preview for Judy, but it's what time it is. It's a new and improved challenge time, right?
I love it. I love it. It's that Rubik's Cube. I'm going to master that one day. It's on my list. So I love that. But I do have a challenge for you. I feel like our time is well spent together. If you come away not with just a good idea or little entertainment, I want you to come away with something that makes your life better at your house financially right now. So my challenge for you is this: simply write down, pen and paper. It's always important to get it from your brain through your hand onto the paper. Write down maybe 1 or 2 bullet points of things that you could do better, more, better, or different financially, offensively. What could I do to grow more? Should I be trying to put more in my savings? Should I put more in my retirement program? Should I be investing, maybe rebalancing the investments I have? Take a look at that. Get with my advisor, do that. So the first thing, a couple of things I could do more, better, different in the growth area of my financial plan. And you're probably guessing the second thing is a couple of things, just 2 bullet points, what you can do better defensively. Do I need to review the insurance that I have to make sure I'm not paying too much, make sure I have the right coverage that I need? Is my will been updated? Have I even prepared a will? How about a trust? If you own property or have children, especially blended families, you really want to look into the value of having a trust, even if it's just a living trust. You want to make sure that you have that protection in place to avoid unnecessary time, delays, costs, fees, probate costs. I mean, there's so many things. And even business. If you're in business, is it time to incorporate? Is it in time to unincorporate? Maybe an LLC is in order. So things like that. If you think about a couple of things you can do better in your planning, offensively, a couple of things you can do better defensively, that'll give you a short list of action items, and then do something about it. That's your challenge.
All right, folks, you've heard the challenge. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. We want to make sure that you get your concerns and your questions answered. Also, if you have any suggestions for future shows that you'd like Judy to touch on, please let us know as well. And as always, make sure that you watch us. We're here every Tuesday morning at 8 a.m., replays on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Any last parting words, Judy?
Make it a great day and hug somebody you love. Have a good one.
Awesome. We'll see you guys next Tuesday. Take care. Bye, Judy.
Bye.